Yeah.
I think we're live, Didrik.
All right. Let's do it. Let's just get straight onto it.
So in this stream, this will be the third in the series of building a custom storefront using Remix, React, and Tailwind are the topics today. The first was about fetching data, the product information and media from Crystallize and displaying it in the browser. Then we did an unplanned session because we figured that the images, responsive images with source set and sizes were not as trivial as we thought. So we did a deep dive in that as stream number 2. And today, Didrik is going to show us how to style or get started with styling on this custom storefront. So where do we start, Didrik?
Well, we did intend to start right away creating some beautiful designs, but we saw also that we might have jumped a bit ahead. So we do need to structure our project a bit differently to create the different components that we need before we get started on the proper design styling. So today we'll use Tailwind together with Remix. So we'll install that. We'll structure the layout component that will handle the header and the footer. We'll also do some stuff to navigation to make stuff work properly. Because this is the simple example on extracting data that we left off last time with Sebastian. So here you can see we have all the books from our Vim tenant, from our bookstore, and we have the Hobbit and all the variants. As you can see,
beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah, I would call it minimalistic. So we'll make this at least get started on creating a website, what we're used to see. There's also some things that I think we're fetching the same book over and over again, but we'll fix that.
Okay, I see.
All right. So first up, let's go to Tailwind. My tool of choice today. You can use whatever you prefer, but for this, you get a lot of nifty small classes, or a lot of classes that you can just use instead of going into CSS and styling it for each and every container.
And Tailwind is
it's a CSS framework, basically. So it's same as you can go for Bootstrap if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Bootstrap React, and then you get a lot of components. Here we only get CSS classes, which I like, because then we can stick to the structure of, or not convolute anything in components, and see that we get the proper HTML semantics. But yeah, so let's start. I think we're here. I'll clear my screen. This is the bookstore live stream project. You can see we got all the goodies in here. Let's
also feel free to, you can make the terminal a little bit bigger for us old people that want to see also.
I tend to forget that you don't see. Okay, we're ready. Let's do it. And I'm just going for the Tailwind CSS with Remix guide here. Pretty easy. This we have already done. This just installs the Remix framework. I'm inside my folder already. Let's do this. Get all the gumdrops. There we go. Yeah, I probably already did that. So we're going to initiate it. This will create our tailwind.config file that we are going to need. Set it up. Here we go. We also need to say inside of the Tailwind config what type of files we need to support for Tailwind. So here, coding window, we will like that. You can see now we have our tailwind.config down here. It's empty at the moment. So in content, we'll just replace that with what Tailwind says we need. Here we go. We need to update our package.json to enable the compiling of the CSS. So package.json. You see here we only have remix build or remix dev. So we'll switch those to, here we go, to this Tailwind CSS. That will help us generate and compile our CSS, basically. And the beautiful part about Tailwind is that it will only inject the CSS classes that you use. Everything else will not be in your CSS. So it limits the need for CSS and for the browser to load. Next up, adding Tailwind or our custom CSS file. There we go. Now in our app, you can see I have actually already done that. So in styles, app styles, I have this. I think this is the built one. So let me do this again. I'm just going to go step by step. We'll go styles, app CSS.
Just pretend that I didn't see that.
Yeah, I will. So here we go. Styles. Inside of here, we go app.css. And we extend our Tailwind classes. And then, of course, we need to import it into our root file of the project. So let's see. We'll go here, root. As you can see, we don't have it here yet. We'll just do this. I'll make this proper and import the style up here. This will actually just inject our CSS into the header of our project or our head tag, which means that we will just link to the generated app CSS file in a build folder. Start your build process. Let's see. Hopefully, we managed to set it up correctly. I think we are. So this is where we were at. Let's see. And this is where we're at. Of course, there was something wrong.
That was awesome. So that's how easy it is to actually style a remixer.
Yeah, so that's today's session. No, let's figure it out. Because what I did was inside of app, we have routes. I guess I actually added it to the wrong place. I had it inside of routes, which is totally wrong. Come on, out here, move it. Let's go, app CSS, beautiful. Guess what? I actually moved it the wrong place again, I think. It's supposed to be next to route.
We could switch to style components.
Yeah, maybe that's more my jam. And something new here. I just need to do this. And this is my jam. That was going so well. Styles, import styles. I've done that. Did I forget something? Because you can see that it actually exits here. Go live. So this is when you're supposed to come in board and say, "Oh, you forgot to do that."
Yeah, but I'm more of a style components person because you taught me that, but you never taught me Tailwind. The goal is for me to learn this today. But is it in the right location? It's under app. Should it be under app? I don't think so.
It should.
It should? Okay.
Yeah. That's weird. Oh, we almost made it run, which is beautiful. This is going places.
This is awesome.
Yeah, that's what you get when you do live streams. Ah, yeah, okay, I am actually. Let's do it again. I'm mixing stuff up here.
Oh, so it shouldn't be under that folder.
I'm not saying you. I'm not saying you were right. All right.
I'm not throwing anybody under the bus. I take the blame for this.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, let's pretend we just started now, and everything is set up. So what happened was I put it where the built version was, which was wrong. But now we are here. You can see all our styling already changed, because that's because you get some global clearing CSS styling to start from scratch. So you don't get any margins to the body and stuff like this. These are still links, even though it doesn't look like.
Okay, so there's no opinionated styling. It's just super bare bones. That's what you get with the Tailwind. Okay.
It is opinionated. You get some defaults when it comes to spacing, paddings, and stuff like this. But everything is overwritten, or you can overwrite anything if you want to. And we are actually going to use the Tailwind config here to extend our theme, or to create a theme for our boiler or our project. So for theme, let's go for colors first. We're going to add some simple ones, like black, proper, white. That was 3, right? There we go. And then we'll go for a gray one. So what this will do is make us, or enable us to actually create classes from all our different backgrounds or text colors or whatever. So now I can do, if we go into our root here, in our index, we should be able to go class name, BG black. Probably a bad example, because this is probably black already, but yeah. We added the background. BG is just background black. Then we can also go text white. Just a nice example. There we go. But like I said, we're not going to go into styling yet, because we need to structure everything a bit differently here before we can, just to make it easier to maintain. We want the header and the footer, for example, to always be in place, which also means that a lot of this logic we want to take into the root folder instead. So we can pass all the children down to our header. But first off, let us just create a folder called components. In here, we'll create layout. TSX. I am adding TSX. I am not going to do the TypeScript. I'll leave that for Sebastian next time.
That's good. That's good. And what's your opinion on? I very often hear from developers that CSS is not programming.
Well, people tend to say that, but I always keep getting layouts that are not as intended. Let's just say that. I have some thoughts around it, but I think that CSS, it's people tend to look at CSS as something, oh, that's not for me, because it's just styling, it's colors, it's sizing and stuff like that. But then again, it's still one of the parts of a website that needs to be in place to make it work properly. So I would say it is as important as the algorithms or whatever you would like to do, because it's what people see. And people tend to buy with their eyes. Yeah, but anyway, let's create a layout component. We'll use this soon, but I know that for inside of the layout component, I want to have a header. We'll add, this will come in here, children. So go for footer. So this is the structure of the website. We also need to utilize this. Go in here. We'll add it to the root folder. Here you can see this is what is going to fire every time you go into a web page or one of your links or one of your subpages. So inside of here, we'll import layout from edit components layout. Beautiful. Outlet, that is basically where your site lives. This is everything that you create from all your routes and everything. So we'll wrap the outlet inside of the layout. See that everything runs. Still good. If I want to, I can add something here. Let's say, of course, we want at some point to add a logo. I'll do this for now. Once again, we need to import the link from Remix Node, but React. There we go. Here we have a logo.
Beautiful.
And if I click into the Hobbit here, you can see it still follows. So what I like to do is to create a header, add a, let's call it content, and a footer. And the content is always a minimum height of 100% of the viewport height. Here we can go and we can say, since the children are basically your routes, we'll add class name min, h for height, and I'll add a custom. There we go. Of course, see much because I didn't have anything in the footer. If I add something to the footer now, logo in footer. You won't be able to see it because I need to scroll down. Here it is.
Okay.
So 100% window height is just 100% of the, I'll tend to say window height, but it's the viewport height.
And this is of course the Tailwind syntax that you're working with here. So it's a shorthand for the CSS stuff, right?
For the CSS stuff.
but what if you want to have specific CSS? Can you also inject that, or would you then create like a Tailwind property that you customly define? Let's say you want some animation in, out, what have you.
Of course. What you need to do is just, here you have the apt or compiled CSS, the one I tried to add my config to. And this is basically all of your compiled CSS from Tailwind. So if you want to extend that with some custom CSS, you can do that with we are going to do this next time, but you can do it in here, adding it at the layers, because it actually has a special syntax with Tailwind. But it is just regular vanilla CSS, no compilers, no nothing, which is beautiful. So just for example's sake, next time we'll do that as well. But today it's more getting ready, everything ready for a proper design session. What I usually want to do as well is to, here we go. We'll go div here, header, because I want this one to have a different background. Great. Here we go. Then it says, so since I added some thema, added gray as a color, I can use background gray. Here we'll add some Tailwind classes. So this is just a container, which means that this div or header now has a max width. And this is opinionated by Tailwind at the moment, but you can override it as well in the theme Tailwind config.
So what's the default with MX Auto? Is that the full available viewport, or?
The container is, I don't remember what the opinionated version is. I think it's 1400 or 1600 pixels. MX Auto is basically the same as margin auto, and that's just for centering the div in the middle of the screen. So I'll show you now. If I go just container, Okay, I'll also add a border just to.
So are we able to center stuff in CSS now with the two words?
Well, yeah, with Tailwind you are. You could do it with regular CSS as well. It's just display block and margin 0 auto.
But I guess you also need to have a lot of extra CSS for compatibility, because centering at least used to be the impossible thing.
I know that's well, horizontally aligning thing. That's not hard. That's as old as the internet itself, almost. But vertically aligning, especially inside a div again, that might be hard. But we'll show some tricks for that as well in one of these sessions. But here you can see this is the max width that we do have. We can just see here. And this is also with some breakpoints, some media breakpoints, since it's a Tailwind. I want to go here. So container. Where is the max width? Should I? Because now I don't know width. There we go. So here we have a break. Yeah, we had a smaller screen, so you can see that the breakpoints are already here. So 640, 100, because now we're on mobile.
Okay.
So if you go up, 640, 768, and so forth. So I don't have to care about that at the moment. We can just use what's out of the box. But what I want to do is to have it in the center. Like so. Here we go. So now you can see, have some spacing on each side. We'll do this to each of our containers in here. Container and mix auto, just to keep it centered. Guess what? We'll do the same to the footer. Getting there. And reasoning behind having a div outside of the header is because I wanted a different background. If I add this here, it will, of course, follow the container, which we don't want. So now I don't have any gray area here. Let's use.
So you're going for a quite minimalistic design in this approach with black, white, and gray, and hard borders. Is that a new
I removed
Nordic approach, or
Nordic minimalism?
Yeah.
But that's we'll just add some. So this is padding, actually PY. So using X and Y axis, of course. Oh, that was a bit big.
And 10 is that that's not pixels apparently.
Oh, it's relative to. So the root container is now 16 pixels, which means that I don't remember how exactly, but you're using rem of everything, which is like so.
Okay.
But let's just add here. I'm also going to add some text size to my link here. This will, of course, just compile into a regular anchor, so I can add styling to it as well. We'll go for text. Oh, we're not going to do text. Font bold. One thing I'm always struggling to remember is it text to Excel or is it font to Excel? It was text. That's where our logo is going to be. All right, let's just also wrap this inside of there and get the background gray. All our content is going to be on a white background.
And now if you, and the reason for using the full viewport height for this centered layout component, is it just because you want to, or what's the reasoning behind it?
I'll show you. I can remove it. And then you get the beautiful footer in the middle of the screen, which is not really a footer.
Yeah, that's a middler.
That's a middler. That's it. That's it. Basically just in the middle of the screen. So you should do it, personal opinion, that a website looks better if the footer is actually a footer. We could do some calculation and add it so you don't have to scroll to the footer. But often your website has content all over.
Yeah. So it's just for the edge cases where you have very, very little content on the page.
Yeah, exactly. So like a 404. Okay, so now we have our layout set up, and you can see if everything is correct, this should follow everywhere. Good on me. What I do want to do next is I want to add some navigation. You can see from our previous live streams, we have some folders here. What I want is a navigation on top stating the different folders inside of books.
Okay.
So we can also add another folder just to show how this works. Horror is another genre. There we go.
There's also a genre called comedy, for example, which is...
First, I think came into my mind. But let's go for horror. So
could we change the logo just to call it bookstore? Then it's a little bit closer to what we're actually going to build.
Bookstore.
Now we have a logo. Oh, that doesn't work. You can't change it. Change it back again.
What? Apparently, I did something without me knowing. Let's see. Oh, it's because I forgot to. Yeah, because the whole thing didn't take into account if the folder is empty. And this folder is empty, not this one. I managed to click the wrong one, but the horror folder is empty.
But I can fix that.
Yeah, I can also fix it. I think it might be more valuable to fix it here.
Instead of creating a book under horror. That's what you're saying.
Yeah, because what's happening now is that we're trying to map children, which is undefined. We don't have it. Almost.
Beautiful.
You mean that? Yeah, nailed it. It was because it was the wrong mapping. It's here. Second try. Ah, sweet. Because in the last session, we went into each of the folders and we just render it on the index page. What we are going to do later on is to create a proper index page with some content that you can, some deskable content. Today it's sale on fantasy books, for example.
And deskable, that's I think a Norwegian term for merchandising, placing products editorially on a landing page or anywhere.
True. Well, just for reference. But what we want to do is, since we're now going to add basically 2 navigational points, horror and fantasy, up in here, I do want to take this. Well, if you watched our last live stream, this is where we fetch data from Crystallize. So we're creating a navigational tree, or fetching the one that we have from /books. So basically just inside the folder here, we're fetching all the different folders again. So we're going to take that one. I'm actually going to take this with me. And we go in, not into here, but here. There we go. Let's do it properly. We'll take this one. We don't need link to, not here.
And what you're doing now is you're fetching the data in the root, and then you can reuse it under the children components. That's the aim here,
exactly.
Right?
Exactly. Why isn't this? Oh, let's go. This is probably failing. This is not defined, but I did. Index. JSON. Back. Run node. Should be the same. Other. If I didn't return anything, we can return. It's just failing because we were getting. Sorry. Oh. So now we're basically onto something else than styling, but it's something that we need to do. Let's get the data that we want. And navigation. So here, it's happening on the server. Here you can see we get the path, which is books.
And what you did there, since we were using Remix, as you said, you get the console log on the server versus if you would have used Next.js, for example, you would have gotten it also in the client.
Yeah. So if you go here, we can say navigation. It's going to be navigation.children. Then here, navigation. Here's load the data. And we're going to add navigation to our layout. Cutting it down. Don't need that many levels. We only need 2.
Yeah, actually 1, I think.
That is also true. Let's see what we get.
Because you're going to build a menu that lists all the categories that we have.
Exactly. I forgot to. 3 children. Good enough. And once again, this is the path, this is the language, this is the amount of levels we want in here. So path is books, it's the children. So if we do this, here now. We got her and we got fantasy. Beautiful. So since you're adding it as a prop to layout, we'll go in here, navigation.
And the reason you got was it ID, path, and name is because that's what you defined in the GraphQL query, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Here we can do the same thing. And of course, when we click these links afterwards, it will fail because we haven't defined a route for it. But we'll fix that as well. Now, name. It's best and happy. Also use nav here. Semantics. Here we got our menu. Her and fantasy. But this is where styling comes in. We want everything in here to have flex, for example. Add it on a row.
And just a question, you changed a div to nav. Will that create a div of a class nav, or what's going on in the background there?
This is HTML tags. So this is the nav HTML tag.
Okay.
So we got a header, we got the navigation, which is good for semantics.
Yeah. And also on the topic of semantics, we will do a separate stream on how to do structured metadata. Everything from title, 5-icon metadata for Google, OG share, and the different social media, but also the structured data for saying that there are products here, there's a company, there's a logo, and creating the semantic structure of the underlying data. But that will be a separate topic. It's super important for indexing in Google, and also when you share a link, for example, that you get the right information if you share a link on Slack or in Facebook.
Placeholder. So in the end, this will be a storefront that you could go live with. It could be. What I'm doing now, placeholders for next time. We want some probably some user icons, some basket icons. So I just want to create the layout here now.
Okay.
This. So now we have horror, fantasy, U and B, so user icon and basket icon. But I think it's a bit cramped. And now comes the magic board. We want to center align all of this stuff vertically. We go items, center. Whoa.
Ooh.
And this is just tailoring using display flex. And items, align items, center items. I don't remember this has been so long in tailoring. Justify between. So that's justify content. Oh.
Okay.
It's a bit weird when that's in the middle, right?
Yeah, that was my thinking too. Because what happened now is there's 3 containers and it's just evenly spacing them out, right? Not taking into account that the navigation is also having sub-items that you want to space out and probably align to leftish.
Yeah, so we'll do that. And the easy part now is, okay, since we already have this, we know that this is evenly spaced between on the horizontal line. Let's just wrap the logo and the navigation in a separate div, which will cramp it up over here again. It will take it down because it doesn't have display flex. Get it here again. Flex. There we go. And once more. And again, items, center. Okay. Then instead of using any spacing like that, we can add here. Well, we can. There's lots of ways we can do it. We could add gap 6, for example. Same goes for inside.
Yeah, you could do the same there, right? Gap 6 for the.
This workboard. I'll just hit it.
I have no idea.
It won't do anything.
Why?
It doesn't know what kind of display property it has. So you need to add flex. Oh, that's the common thing about CSS. Some of the properties only work if it has another property.
It's still not programming, though.
No, it's not. People tend to say it still. Let's add a bit more. Here we go. At least this is starting to look like some sort of web page. If I click here, we can also add. Tailoring is beautiful. We can do on each of these. You can do hover. Ooh.
Beautiful. And also since this will crash when you click now, could we create a 404?
That's for next time.
That's for next time. Okay.
Yeah. Because I just want to get through. Now we're still on front page. Haven't really gotten that far. We only created the layout, made it ready for being able to style it and make it as we wish. Just showing some minor Tailwind things. Not like I would have done it, but we'll fix that for next time. Rounded, that's the same as border radius. Let's get some beautiful. Okay, good enough for now. We will fix it to a proper design later on. Right, so if we click this, it will crash. Got what you wanted, board. Here's the 404, but this is remix default. If you want to style it, still, we'll do it later on.
Yeah, because we probably want to have the layout in there and centered 404 on the screen.
Yeah, we want. And the reason why we get a 404 now is because we don't have a route for it. You can see we have the index, which is the current, it's the front page. And we have for books category.path. path. So that's 3 levels deep. So if we click The Hobbit here, for example, you can see we have books, we have fantasy, and we have The Hobbit. So what we actually need to do is to create, I'll just copy paste this for now, rename it, we'll remove path. Okay. See the query, we'll fix that later on. Because what we actually do want, and this is...
But also, this is typically what we see a lot is now we copy paste the query and you're just wanting a subset of it, which means that you're actually fetching more data for this route than you actually need. So you're going to get the data bloat there. So it's important to always go back and optimize the query. That's one of the big benefits of GraphQL, right? You can fetch exactly what you want.
Indeed. Of course, this will actually work. Because it's hard-coded.
Mm-hmm.
So we get the same stuff as we get for a book, which is... And we'll figure that out as well. And that's basically just because we didn't utilize the Crystallize path in the last iteration of this. So, which means that we need to fix this here as well. First off, let's get what we need. The params. You can see we have the parameters called category, which is all we need. Because now we want to get added too much. We only want to get the folder, which is called fantasy or horror. Then here it's hard coded. What we want to do. So here we want up $. Then on the bottom, we'll add the path here, Crystallize path. Let's remove basically everything. So I want to start from scratch. Then this will fail because we tried to fetch content. Oh, I'm going to do this. Another product, now it's a category. Stop. Okay, so it renders. Object, category, name, horror. Beautiful.
Could we just semantically alias catalog with books? Because is that not what we get? Or do you fetch the... Do you want to fetch the category and then the children, or do you just want to list the children?
Now I want to list the children for the category.
Okay.
If you're talking about having just our domain /fantasy, yeah, I'll leave that to Sebastian. So here we go. What we of course want here then is we want the children. We know that in here we have products, product, and then we want the default variant. We want to list one book. Name, let's see. I don't know my... Yeah, of course, Diary and Horror. But if you go to Fantasy, we have children, and we have 9 of them.
And here, this is what I actually meant was where you have here that it says children to alias this to books.
Oh,
just semantically, so that the data is a little bit prettier.
Books.
Oh, yeah, maybe. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
But we can do this. Here is also catalog. We can say category.
Yeah. Because catalog is the query in Crystallize, but Crystallize is abstract, and we know that we have defined this as a category, and then we have the children of the category. We know that that is books.
Yeah, category. We do it like that instead, because then what we are getting, we can do in here. Let's add H1 to know where we are. Category.
And in terms of the query that you built out now, in the first stream, Sebastian went into depth how you can actually figure out what the query should look like in the GraphQL playground. So you typically wouldn't just type it in like Didrik does here, unless you have done it a lot of times. Then you do it like that.
Exactly. You know what? There's one more thing I really do want to have on the layout since we're on styling, and that's here, because now you can see this is all cramped up on my heading. I really do want some padding. There we go.
This is padding vertical 10.
Yeah. So once again, padding on the y-axis, padding on the x-axis. Oh, sorry. X-axis or padding in general. So let's see. We'll take some of this away just so we can keep this easier to navigate. So name, let's just go for the default price. Just here. Works. Default variant, price. Then we'll go for
and also in Crystallize, prices is a big topic. We will dive into that at a later stage in terms of different price variants for different markets, maybe price lists, and how to have unique prices for example, members or B2B customers. And the price will, in this case, give you the default price with the default currency.
Oh, just wanted the images. Yeah, so now we're just fetching data again, which is part of the styling. But then again, we needed to create a proper bookstore here. Okay, good. What else do we need? We have the name, we have the price, we have the image. I guess that's what we need to create the layout. Here we'll say category books, map, book, and it. And of course, we also might want to do here is to create a component for a book on how to render it in a micro format. But for now, we just build here and we can move it on later. Because you might want to use this for the product, let's say related books, or in another listing.
And also the question mark there is just so that you check if the books are empty, so it doesn't crash.
Exactly. Well, optional chaining, which is my go-to thing.
And let's not get into the discussion of how we should do things like that. There are opinions.
Yeah, there's so many people that have stronger opinions about it than me. Nice. Here. Oh, you can also see it's starting to look like we did last time, but we'll fix that. Why do we not get the?
It's under the default variant, isn't it?
Of course it is. Thank you, Word. Go. And of course we want the image, which once again takes us back to the image component. Important stuff. Let's do one more thing before we actually use our component. Yeah, I see. I forgot to add something. Which is a product. We know what the path. Let's decide on layout for now.
And path is the automatically generated slug from Crystallize, which just follows the names of the tree. So books / fantasy / Lord of the Rings, for example.
Exactly. There we go. Since I've decided on the sizing already, I added some padding here. Well, we'll get back to that. was much better thought because I was too concerned about my padding. That's what's happened. I changed the layout because I was going to do an example. Here we go. Let's go. So here we added padding all around instead of just to the y-axis. There we go. And the reason I want to decide on the layout first is because we are going to take into account the sizes of the image. We'll just do it for this screen at the moment. We'll do the responsive parts later. But since we have 4 columns here now, we'll do image. We'll do dot full first image.
And this is using the Crystallize component, which we featured in the previous stream with Vasil and Daniel.
Yeah, exactly. Now we are rendering the full display because we didn't specify any sizes. We know that since we have 4 columns here, we have a viewport width of, it's not 100%, but I think it's safe to say we can use 20 to 25% of the viewport. We'll say sizes, viewport width. It will give us a lower resolution image, but that's fine since it's so condensed. Let's see. Rendered size is 2 point. You can see we're hitting 200. Of course, these are pretty low. We only have 200 pixels to work with here on that image. Did you add any big ones, Bor?
Do not remember, but I think most of them are larger than 200. But this is now scaled down to because of the viewport width, right? So we have 200 and 100. Yeah.
Yeah, but you can see still see in our source sets that we only have 100 and 200. Yeah. So they're probably around 200 to 300.
Yeah.
That's all right for now. There you can see. Not as pretty as I would hope yet, but let's go down to this one, where it was condensed. That's also, of course, because now the image is just, okay, I'm this big, I'll take up this space.
Mm-hmm.
What I'd like to do is add a pane like that. Let's see, because you can see it will probably go outside some of the spaces here. Okay. First off, let's add once again gap works with grid and flex. Like that. Yeah, better. Now we have add something. I didn't fetch the currency because I only added the default price.
Yeah.
But we'll figure that later. So for now, it's enough. Let's say we sell in dollars. Right, so now we have the listing. We'll go back to creating this proper pretty next time. But we have what we want. We have the listing. You can see can't click them. So we, of course, need to add that. Just add that to, instead of having a div here, it's a link. Right. Now, what will happen is that this will take us to our previous book site. We'll still just show the Hobbit on each and every one of them.
Because the query was hard-coded.
Exactly. So what we need to do is just take...
And this is maybe the last thing we do now in the stream as we're hitting top of the hour.
I was having so much fun, so time went by.
So all the roots are working, and we have the foundation to proper style it. Now we got the basic containers, we got the basic margins and padding and alignment, etc. But then we can do on the design side.
Exactly. So next time we'll have a design. I'll come up with some design, some craziness, make it a bit pretty. have some temporary logo. But before we do what's up next, we'll also make these paths work with the links.
Yep.
This is beautiful. So once again, we'll do the same as we did on the query. We need to say we are going to have a variable here called path, which is a string. Here we'll do path. At the end, we'll do path equals Crystallize path. Did I do it everywhere now? I think so. Let's see what's going to happen. Sweet. And now it works. Expecting something here. And there. Yeah, those are empty. I remember. So yeah, I think, like you said, Bart, we can leave it at that. More of a session on getting it ready. We have the different components that we need. We'll do a separate component on each book microformat as well next time, but also have a design for what we would like this to look like. Maybe we'll also add a banner to each folder because it's fantasy after all, or horror, and show how we can do that as well. Yeah.
Nice. Thanks, Didrik. I learned something. Oh yeah, it was.
Yeah, I learned how to install Remix. No, I mean Tailwind.
Which folder to put it in? Yeah, but that's good. But I think we're between now.
We're between. Norwegian English.
Yeah. That's good. Thanks, Didrik. And next Thursday, it's the next part, and then it will be implementing some design on top of this layout that you created now.
Probably that's what we're going to talk about next, indeed, because we didn't get through all the way to the end today either.
Perfect.
Okay. See you next time.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.